I had to really hammer on it. Thanks, live. You're live, Trish. Go ahead.
All right, everybody. Hi, this is Trish Heinrich. I am an author in the Pacific Northwest, and I am currently distracted because I am looking at the YouTube channel side by side with my Zoom persona too. So, you know, technical stuff isn't life grand like this. So a little bit about me. I am once again having a little bit of technical difficulties. Hold on just a second. I need to fix let's see here, the chat. Okay, well, I am an author. Sorry, I'm trying to get it so I can see your comments if you have any questions or anything like that. And for whatever reason, it's not quite doing what it's supposed to be doing. And I'm not sure what the deal is with that. There we go. How about that? Finally got it figured. Okay. I'm Trish Heinrich. I'm an author from the Pacific Northwest. I write superhero novels. And I'm so glad you're here with me. Hello, Misty. And everybody else watching that hasn't commented, you don't have to comment if you don't want, you can just listen. Today, I'm going to be reading from my new book, Fahrenheit's Ghost, and it is the author proof copy, so it's got the lovely not for sale stripe across it. This is actually the first book in my second series in my superhero universe. The universe is called The Vigilantes. The first series is a trilogy that's complete that you can find at the Quarren Con Artist Alley, and I encourage you to check that out after I'm done, not just for my books, but there's a lot of wonderful vendors that have virtual tables. So just take your time, browse, support some independent artists and business owners because we all could use that kind of support right now. So yes, please post your questions in the chat and I will definitely get to them. A little bit more about me. So I was a producer and an actress in an online web series called The Collectibles. It was a superhero comedy series, very much The Office meets Super Friends. I'm also one half of a fantastic dynamic duo that does the Geekorama podcast and also runs the superhero fiction website and author and reader group, which you can check out superherofiction.com. And I believe in the see more about me on the YouTube channel here, you will find a link to our podcast. We do weekly shows talking about pop culture and all things wonderfully geek related. So a little bit about this. I chose a reading that's right around about a quarter into the book. So to just catch you up a little bit, to let you know some things that you need to know to understand the reading. The book is about Colleen Knight, and Colleen is got the gift of pyrokinesis. Basically, she can control and create fire. Colleen's family is in the mob. They run a crime family syndicate in her hometown. Her mother, Tina, just recently took out the patriarch of the family in order to take control. His name is Grandfather. And he wasn't a very nice guy. He was pretty abusive to Colleen. And so his voice kind of haunts her right now in the decisions that she's making. Tina, Colleen's mom, is having some trouble with a rival crime boss who's trying to take over her territory. So she sends Colleen to intercept this powered person, this super, super powerful powered person that's being transported via steamboat. And in order to do this, Colleen has to go undercover as the mistress of a very successful and well-known playboy. The catch is Colleen is a Black woman, and my novels are set in the past. So this is 1963 in the summer. And she is the only Black woman on the boat who isn't a servant. So it causes a bit of a stir. Colleen's ex-girlfriend, Karen, is also on the boat. And when they meet, it's the first time they've seen each other in 5 years. Colleen broke it off very suddenly without explanation. And what Colleen doesn't know is Karen is a secret agent for the government that hunts down powered people to rehabilitate them. And they're both after the same powered person. Colleen wants to set this person free, even though her mom wants the person to be used as a weapon to help her with this rival crime boss. And Karen wants the person to turn over to her agency to be cured of her superpowers. So that's where they're at. Both women are on the boat. There's a very famous singer that's performing that night. Everybody wants to see the singer. And so the two protagonists have taken this opportunity to try to steal this person. And neither one of them knows the other one is going for it. So here we are. Dinner had been fantastic, mostly because Trevor made sure no one could ignore Colleen, and she couldn't help a perverse delight in their discomfort. "I need to freshen up before the performance," she said after dinner. "Of course, dear, don't be long," he said, giving her the barest wink. On the way back to her room to change, Colleen realized that Karen had disappeared a little before dessert and wondered if she was all right. No time for that. I have to get this person out of here. She slipped off the beautiful dress and was standing there in her undergarments when someone seized her from behind, their hands going around her neck. Whoever it was, their fingers pressed at the spot where her pulse was beating, and Colleen started to see dark spots at the edges of her vision. She let heat into her palms and pressed them against the hands holding her. A man yelled and released her. Colleen coughed and spun around, coming face to face with Trevor. "What the?" she croaked. "I'm sorry, kitten. I have no choice. I can't let you take that cargo." Colleen walked around to the other side of the bed, hoping she could contain her powers and not have them spread throughout the boat. "Why would you betray my mother?" she asked. Trevor stared at his burnt hands and shook his head. "Tina always said you were extraordinary. I wonder, if Jason knew about you, would he have asked me to kill you?" Colleen's stomach dropped, and her veins began to burn with power. "So, Jason James, huh?" Fire lit up her palms, and she delighted in the fearful shock on Trevor's face. "You have two choices," Colleen said. "You can fight me and get burned, or you can say you fought me and let me do what I came here to do." Trevor shook his head. "You don't get it. Jason is powerful. Your mother is playing a game that's going to get her killed. And how long do you anticipate living when she finds out what you did to me?" "I don't want to, but Jason, he'll take everything away from me." "The person you should be afraid of," Colleen lobbed the fireball, letting it singe Trevor's jacket before calling it back, "is me." Trevor stumbled back, patting the embers on his clothes. Colleen grabbed a heavy ashtray off the bedside table and tackled him to the ground. Forming a small fireball in one hand, Colleen concealed the ashtray in the other and brought the fireball close enough to Trevor's face for him to feel the heat. He squirmed, begging her to stop. "I don't want to do this either," Colleen said. "So why don't you let me go do what I need to do? You can tell Jason you tried to stop me." "That won't matter. I'm dead if I don't stop you. And you'll be dead if you do. Tina will see to that." Trevor's usually confident demeanor melted, and he began to cry. "Please, I can't betray him." Colleen sighed. "I was afraid you'd say that." "No," he yelled. Instead of burning him, Colleen took the ashtray and clocked him across the face with it. Trevor's forehead began to bleed and his eyes closed. Colleen checked his pulse and was relieved to see that he was still breathing, just unconscious. Wasting no time, she yanked her orange and white Fahrenheit suit out of her bag and pulled it on. It wouldn't be stealthy, but it would conceal her identity if anyone saw her. She tried her best to control the swirl of emotions and thoughts in her mind, realizing that Jason James, the multi-millionaire and one of the most powerful men in the country, was behind the experimentation on powered people. And now Tina's enemy. Shit, I'll think of that later. First, I've got to get this person out of that tube. Stepping from her room into the hall, the plush carpet felt strange under her thick boots, and she wished the color of her suit was a little less ostentatious. Too late now. Just get to the engine room. She walked with quick, light steps down the hall to the gold and white double doors that led to another hall and went through. If she went left, she'd go up the stairs to the upper decks. Instead, she went right, toward a set of stairs that led to the lower levels. She stopped, listening for any of the staff in their quarters, but the only sound was the loud hum of the engines. She hoped that no one had chosen this night to take a little alone time in their rooms or raid the kitchen for off-limit sweets. Her feet were as quiet as could be as she sprinted down the hall to the porter's quarters. Colleen listened at his door, her heart pounding in her chest. No sound came from his room, and so Colleen proceeded to the door that would lead her to the lowest level. The key Trevor had hidden under the diamond bracelet felt heavy in her hand. She had liked him, and his betrayal stung. No time. Get moving before he wakes up. The door opened with a series of loud squeaks and groans, and Colleen hoped no one was around to hear it. Once she was down the stairs, Colleen crept to the doorway that led to the storage area. Peeking around the corner, she saw cordoned off spaces filled with crates, luggage, and odds and ends. After several agonizing minutes of listening, Colleen was fairly certain no one was there and stepped into the room. From her studies of the blueprints, she knew that there would be a smaller room, designated extra storage on the schematics. That's where they have to be. She walked past the engines, groaning softly in their nighttime setting, and saw a table with a sandwich and a cup of coffee, steam rising from the cup. A few steps closer, and Colleen saw the security guard slumped over on the floor. In everything that Colleen had attempted to anticipate, someone else being interested in the powered person wasn't one of it. She let some heat into her palms, mentally getting a firm grip on her powers before walking toward the heavy security door. It was closed, but not locked. Colleen opened it just enough to squeeze through. The room was larger than what the blueprints showed, and at first the only things she saw were steamer trunks, crates full of extra alcohol, and a huge safe that likely contained money for the gambling tables. She made her way past the crates and trunks to where the room curved to the left, like a reverse L-shaped. She heard the sound of metal scraping metal and paused just before turning the corner. Colleen recognized the click of a lock giving way, and her heart pounded in her chest as she wondered what kind of adversary she was going to find. She focused her breathing, determined to control her powers in this enclosed space and not kill whoever it is. Unless you have to. She grit her teeth against the intrusion of grandfather's voice, wishing the old man's memory would take the hint and go to hell with the rest of him. Taking 2 deep, steadying breaths, Colleen refocused on the task at hand and took out the vial and syringe from a pouch on her belt. Whoever was there, they might be trying to wake the person up and use their powers. Colleen had no idea what the person's powers were, but she knew that letting them run loose on this boat was a very bad idea. She darted around the corner, vial ready in her hand. Someone was standing at a large silver tube, tall body clad in black from head to toe. Their back was to Colleen, and they were leaning over, working on a second lock. 3 quick steps, and she was within range. She raised her fist and was about to punch the person when they spun around, blocking the swing of her arm. The move was smooth, practiced. Colleen stared down at the bright blue eyes that looked up at her under the balaclava. For a moment, they were both frozen, eyes boring into each other. Is that? The person in black pivoted, punching Colleen square in the stomach while still holding her wrist. The impact drove Colleen back a step, gasping for breath. Another punch landed across Colleen's face. She let some heat out into her free hand and captured the assailant's foot as they tried to kick her. The person in black yelped, and Colleen knew who it was. She stepped back and stowed the syringe, not wanting to chance injecting Karen with the fluid. Stop, she said, holding her hands up. Karen advanced on her, and Colleen blocked the punch to her face, delivering one of her own into Karen's midsection. It's Colleen. I know, Karen said, delivering a kick to Colleen's side. Then why are you? I won't let you get this. Crap. She thinks I'm. Colleen caught Karen's leg when she attempted a roundhouse kick and let some more heat out through her hands. Karen grunted, still balancing on one foot as she threw a knife at Colleen, who let go of Karen's foot and just managed to dodge the blade. I'm not your enemy, Colleen said. Yeah, you just come down here in that outfit for the ambiance? Why the hell are you down here? Colleen asked, ducking below a punch and delivering her own into Karen's stomach. Karen drew another knife from her boot and slashed it toward Colleen's thigh, missing by inches. And why do you have knives? Why do you? Karen feinted with the knife toward Colleen's abdomen and swept her legs out from under her. Have heat in your hands. Before Colleen could get up, Karen had jumped on top of her, straddling her and holding the knife to Colleen's throat. They stared at each other, fury mixed with something else. Something both thought was long gone. I'm not a threat, Colleen said. I swear. How am I supposed to believe you? Karen asked, her voice full of unspoken things. Colleen opened her mouth to speak when a gunshot rang out, pinging against the wall behind them. A man was peeking around the corner, the blue sleeve of workman's coveralls visible as he pointed a gun at them. Karen rolled to the side, as did Colleen. They jumped up onto the balls of their feet, and Karen drew another knife, throwing it in one smooth motion. It hit the man's hand, and he yelped, dropping the gun. Colleen ran around the tube while the man was still distracted from the shock of the knife grazing him. She tossed a fireball at him, letting it singe his coveralls before calling it back. He screamed in terror at the flames and stumbled back. Wasting no time, Colleen ran up to him and hit him twice across the face. The man slumped onto his back, unconscious. She ran back to the tube in time to see Karen fiddling with a secondary lock. What are you doing? Colleen asked. Karen didn't answer, keeping her focus on the lock. Colleen went to her and pulled on Karen's shoulder. Answer me! I don't have to, she said, jerking away. Yes, you do. I'm here to protect this person, and if you're going to hurt them. The lock popped and fell off with a clank. Karen reached down to the keypad toward the bottom of the tube and began entering numbers. Karen! What? Colleen could feel the heat in her veins, could feel it start to boil. What is going on? Karen sighed and turned to Colleen. There isn't time right now, Karen said. But once this is done, I'll answer anything I can. Colleen clenched her jaw. Trusting still wasn't her strong suit, but she'd have to get over that if she wanted some answers. First, you tell me what you mean by done, because if you think I'm going to let you hurt this person, you've got another thing coming. Karen went back to the keypad, which beeped at her. She keyed in different numbers with the same result. Damn it, Karen said after the third time. It's unlocked, right? I think so, but this keypad indicates a backup system of some kind. Colleen pushed a little heat into her palms. I could melt the hinges. Karen stared at her. You could? If you swear to me that you aren't going to hurt whoever is in there. I swear, I'm not here to hurt them. Colleen walked around to the other side and put her hands on the silver hinges. She concentrated on pushing heat from her veins out into her hands, paying attention to the degrees. In a few seconds, she could feel the liquid of the metal and kept the temperature steady until it dripped into a puddle at her feet. When she opened her eyes, Karen was staring at her, mouth hanging open. Her hand crept to one of the knives on her belt, and Colleen stared at it, heart pounding. She'd assumed Karen wouldn't attack her, but what if she was wrong? Eventually, Karen's hand dropped from the knife hilt, though her eyes never strayed from Colleen. How long? She asked. Since I was 12. What little Colleen could see of Karen's face tensed, her blue eyes hardening. I guess after this, we both have a lot of explaining to do. Karen gripped the lid and heaved it up, expecting it to be heavier than it was. She lost her grip, and the lid slid from her fingers and onto the floor on the other side of the tube. A beeping sound, like a heart monitor but louder, began to echo through the room. Colleen stared into the tube, expecting a full-grown adult. What she saw instead was a little Negro girl, about 8 or 9. She was in a gray hospital gown, her arms and chest connected to half a dozen tubes. A silver collar was at her throat. Her lips crisscrossed with pink scars, and her head was completely shaved. Colleen looked up and met Karen's eyes. "Did you?" Colleen asked. "No," Karen said, her voice soft. A door slammed, and voices began filtering to them in the back room. And I'm going to stop there. So that is an excerpt from Fahrenheit's Ghost, which is my latest book. It is the first book in the Heroes of High Tide series. The second book, which I'm working on right now, is up for pre-order and will be released in the summer. And I'm hoping to have the third book out, if not by the end of the year, by the beginning of next year. So that is the excerpt from that. Thank you for listening to me, everybody. Misty 306 had a question. Is there a difference between writing a graphic novel from a novel besides the images and the dialogue? That is a great question. I've never written a graphic novel, so I can't speak to that from direct experience. Really, superhero novels can be inserted into any subgenre. They can be action adventure, they can be dystopian, urban fantasy, comedy, romance. So I don't think it would be. I think it is a lot of the basics, except that instead of relying on art to help you tell the story, you, as all novelists, are responsible for writing all of that and conveying that in the written word. Great question, Misty. Thank you. What drew you to writing superhero books? So I have loved superhero stories my entire life, and always wanted to write a superhero story, but assumed that they were all comic books. And I had no idea how to write a comic book. I can't draw stick figures. But I read right around the time my youngest was a baby, maybe before she was born. I had read my first superhero novel by Carrie Vaughn, and it was called After the Golden Age, which, if you love the superhero genre, I cannot recommend her duology enough. It was a fantastic book. And for the first time, it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh my God, you can write these as novels. And I started really thinking, okay, how would I do that? And then it was about a year later, I decided to take part in National Novel Writing Month. And the one idea I had that I was comfortable working on was a superhero idea. And that's kind of how it all got started for me. And it's just kind of taken off from there. I didn't realize how big the superhero novel community actually was. I mean, we're not as big as like paranormal romance or urban fantasy or anything like that, but it is a growing genre. And a lot of people think that there's not a lot of authors writing it because on Amazon, the category is really muddled with a lot of books that really aren't superhero books. So an author friend and I, we were like, why don't we try to get all the superhero authors together and we'll try to, bring more awareness to our genre. And so that's how I met my podcasting partner and my partner in crime that runs and does the superhero fiction website. And it's been really interesting to see everybody's takes on superheroes. There's some anti-hero novels that are fabulous. Kristen Brand writes one of my favorite anti-hero, older hero superhero series. It's a retired hero that married a retired-ish supervillain, and it's fantastic. He was forcibly retired because he has an injury, so he's an older guy. It's an older woman, which it's just something you just don't see a lot of in general. It was called Hero Status, if anybody wants to check that out. I guess I'll start recommending a few books, if that's okay. My 30 minutes is almost up, but in addition to Carrie Vaughn's After the Golden Age, I would also recommend Dreadnought by April Daniels, which is about a transgender superhero, which was just fabulous. And I would also recommend Heroine Complex. It's a trilogy by Sarah Kuhn, and it's Kuhn. I might be butchering that last name, I apologize, but it's fabulous. It's romantic, it's funny, it's action-packed, it is weird in the most delightful way. The first scene is the superhero is fighting demon-possessed cupcakes. And if that doesn't grab you, I don't know what will. So those are some of my favorites if you're interested in the genre besides my books. Of course, I would recommend checking those out. And I would also recommend checking out superherofiction.com. We have almost 300 superhero books on there, most of them from indie authors, I'm proud to say, which indie authors don't get the spotlight nearly enough, in my opinion. Yes, demon-possessed cupcakes. I mean, it was just one of those, I opened the book and I read that and I was like, sold. I will read all of these. And all three of them are fabulous. They are just, they're so different. There's a lot of issues around found family and acceptance. And the other thing that I love about it is it's all women protagonists, and they're Asian American women, which you also don't see a lot of representation in superheroes with Asian American women at all. So I can't recommend her books highly enough. I really can't. Yeah, that's it really. I would love it. I'm hosting a panel tomorrow, actually at 3:00 Pacific. Through CorinCon. It's called Superhero Stories. So there's me as the moderator, and my partner in crime, Jeremy Flagg, is one of the panelists. We also have Karen Diem, we have Matt King, we have Taylor Elwood, and we have Michael Bailey. And I am super excited. These are all indie authors. They are writing superheroes, and they have such drastically different types of superhero series, but they're all fabulous. And I cannot wait to talk with them about superheroes, to talk with you guys about superheroes. We're going to talk about writing superheroes. We're also going to talk a little bit about like the CW shows and some of the movies. So there's going to be a lot of wonderful geekiness going on. So I would love it if you guys would join us. You could toss us some questions. I'm also going to do a lightning round with them, which is going to be, spandex or leather, pick kind of a thing. Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, pick, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I really hope you guys tune in. And please, if you have any questions, contact me in the See More right under the video about me. You can find my Facebook page, my Instagram page, and the podcast. You can contact me on any of those platforms. I love talking to fans. I love talking to fans of superheroes. And I'm also doing live writing sprints 3 times a week with other superhero authors. So there's that. And yeah, I've really had a fantastic time. Thank you guys for tuning in. And like I said, you can check out my books as well as a bunch of other amazing authors and artists on Artist Alley on the CorinCon website. You just click the link for Artist Alley, and my virtual table is down at the bottom because it's alphabetical. So you can find me there and browse the other tables. Give some love to independent business owners in this season, and all of you out there, please take care, stay safe, and I just hope you have a fabulous day. Thank you for tuning in, everybody.